Well, if you're like me, folks, I want to preface this entire program by letting everyone know I'm a human being. Like everyone else on this planet, we have bad days. Today's been an absolutely awful day. So please forgive me if for any reason you think to yourself, watching or listening to me, and you're going, is he all right? I'm okay. It's just been a bad day. And if there's anything that can cheer you up at least a little bit, it's watching the Warriors, thankfully, and the Minnesota Timberwolves 5-game winning streak over them surprised me, especially given the way that game was going in the first half. I did not think the Warriors were going to turn it around, but a phenomenal third quarter by Jonathan Kuminga, who, yes, he's getting minutes. And big surprise, great things happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. Stephen Curry was single-handedly carrying this team in the first half, finally got some help in the second half. He had a fantastic night. No one's talking about him looking his age. No one's talking about sore knees tonight. And then Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield was averaging nearly 18 points a game the first 12 games of the season when the Warriors started 10-2. He alone has been a huge reason for the team's struggles. Welcome back, Buddy Hield, because he had himself a night. For the folks who are talking about GP2 playing awesome, he did not play awesome. He had a good final minute of this game to mask the other 47 minutes. We'll talk about that, okay? Because there were a lot of things in this game that went horribly wrong that Steve Kerr did that would not have resulted in the happy ending we saw. The Warriors lucked out in a lot of regards with this result. I'm afraid that people are going to be a little too happy about this and think, oh, wow, everything's copacetic. Everything's simpatico with the Golden State Warriors. The ship's corrected. There were a whole lot of things I did not like in this game that if the team does not learn from, we're going to see a lot more losses following this instead of more feel-good victories like tonight. And those GP2 minutes are a huge part of that. I'll explain why. But again, the Warriors won. They end a 5-game losing streak against the Timberwolves. They go into Houston for the NBA Cup quarterfinal, carrying momentum. I love that. I love Warriors wins, baby. I'm sure all of you do as well. So let's break down a Sunday Night Live extravaganza next. This is the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Woo! Let's go! In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
Kuminga! Welcome. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Welcome to the Golden Days. I am your host for the evening, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild. You can follow me on Twitter at Surf Journalist. And the program is available on most social media platforms at Golden Days Pod. It's available on Blue Sky just at Golden Days. That's the only Blue Sky presence. I just do not have time to publish there, even though I understand a lot of people are trying that platform out. But regardless, I might someday. But for tonight, before we get into all the nitty-gritty, all the good stuff of the Warriors improving to 14-9 on the season after a huge home victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Final score tonight, 114-106. Again, the Warriors improved to 14-9. We'll get into the standings in just a minute in terms of what this win results in regarding the standings. Sorry to sound super redundant there. But tonight's show brought to you by the official sponsor of Golden Days. And at a certain point, there'll be more than one. But for now, they're getting all the love. And that's Bet Online. They continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and so much more. Head to Bet Online today, and don't forget to use the promo code. It's the name of the network that we're on, Believe. It's spelled in a unique manner, BLEAV. Again, use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. And again, final score, the Golden State Warriors. This was insanely important. I was expecting a depressing night all across the board. I'm shocked. I am shocked the Golden State Warriors won that game. No, what the F is fashion. I did not fall asleep. I promise you that. I don't know why you would suggest that, to be honest. Do I look tired? Is it I apologize if I look off in that regard. No, I did not sleep. I'm around. But to all the folks in the chat, Steve White, yes. Hello, right back at you. Patrick O'Quinn, stoked that the Warriors got the win. Now, how did they get that win? Again, 3 players are clearly a cut above the rest in terms of who the stars are of this game. If you were going to ask me who the player of the game is for tonight, I'd have to go with Jonathan Kuminga because, well, you know what? No, I'm gonna do a quick reverse here. I'm gonna go with Buddy Hield for the simple reason that Buddy Hield has been struggling for a while. I mentioned in the cold open that those first 12 games of the season, when the Warriors started the year 10-2, Buddy was averaging nearly 18 points a game. More specifically, I think it was 17.7. And then we've seen a decline for a very long time. All these discussions, the talking point that has dominated the narrative regarding the Warriors' struggles lately, which is Stephen Curry needing a number 2 scorer. No one was talking about that until recently because Buddy Hield prevented that from being a necessary discussion. It prevented that from even going in people's minds. The Warriors did not need a number 2 scorer until Buddy Hield started to slump. And he started to slump bad. And I want to pull up his game log real fast here just to give you an idea of what Buddy was doing before tonight. And of course, it's typical of the day I'm having, and it extends into tonight. Everything I had open just closed. That I am frustrated right now. It's okay. I'm going to get Buddy's stats in just a second. But the reason why he was the player of the game tonight, simple reason, 27 points. That's good. That's damn good. But clearly it was the flurry of shots, and it was the 3-point shooting more specifically. Buddy Hield was 7 of 13 from deep. All right. When Buddy Hield is hitting 7 threes in a game, you better win. It's not even up for discussion. And what's going to stick out the most in terms of the stats I present to you this evening is going to be the difference between the first and the second half. Because again, the first half of this game, the Warriors looked flat. They did not look like a team that was going to pull off the victory that they did. They were down by 9. The score of the half was 58 to 49. I don't know about you folks. I didn't think they were going to win. I really did not. I was seeing more of the same. I was seeing irritating small ball at an extreme level. The Minnesota Timberwolves are very big. Okay, some teams are bigger than others in terms of the lineups they present, in terms of the rosters. And Minnesota, even though they traded Karl Anthony Towns, they still have a 3-headed monster of Rudy Gobert, of Julius Randle, and Naz Reid. Those guys cause problems for the opposition, especially when you consider 2 of those 3 players, Randle and Naz Reid, can hit the 3. They can space the floor. See, even Bubba's like riled up over something. I don't know what's going on there. But it was more of the same tonight. The Warriors were having problems hitting threes, and that's going to happen when the other team is a lot taller than you. They were having problems defending the perimeter in the 3, and that's oftentimes going to happen when you are shorter, much shorter than the opposition. I had a couple people on social media tonight telling me ridiculous things like height doesn't matter in basketball. Are you out of your effing mind? Like, if you're telling me that, I'm guessing you've never played the game, because if you played the game and you honestly think height is not possibly the most important variable in the sport of basketball, I'm sorry. Like, you need to play a little bit. You need to do some more research and come to the realization that height does matter a lot. And when a 6'3" guy, for example, is trying to defend a 6'6" guy, and the 6'6" guy has a 3-inch advantage, it's going to be a lot easier for him to get off a shot. It's not rocket science. It's the most basic form of physics imaginable. And the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first half were killing it. Just to give you some stats here in terms of the contrast before we talk about the good half, which was the second half. Minnesota at the end of the first half had hit 45.8% of the threes. They were 11 of 24. And again, when your defense is a band of hobbits and your average height is 6'3", and the opposition's average height is 6'8", I apologize for my dog. I don't know what he's riled up about. The other team, they're going to have open looks. Even when there's someone right in front of them, it's going to feel like an open look. Again, it's not complicated. It's very basic physics. Height is important in the NBA. And Buddy Hield was having an so-so game in the first half. Buddy Hield in the first half, he played 16 minutes. I apologize for my pup here. Give me 1 second while I mute my... Sorry about that. Hopefully he'll chill out after that. I can't guarantee it. He's an English bulldog. They are a stubborn breed. So Buddy Hield, again, in the first half, had 8 points in this game. He was 2 of 6 from deep. He was 3 of 7 from the field in those 16 minutes that he played. Nothing out of the norm, right? Nothing that indicated an exemplary night that was to come for him. The only player in the first half that was playing some fantastic basketball was Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry in the first half, again, he was the only reason why the Warriors were even in this game and why the deficit, see now my boys below me, why the deficit was only 9 points, 58-49 at the half. It's because Stephen Curry at the half had poured in 19 points on 6 of 12 shooting from the field. That's 50%. That's very good. He was 4 of 9 from 3. And so he had a great first half. Buddy Hield had 8 points in the first half. You're thinking to yourself, that's all right. Jonathan Kuminga, who ended up having yet another fantastic game. Again, great things happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. But the first half was a struggle for him too. He was 0 of 2 from deep. He was 2 of 9 from the field. He only had 6 points and 3 boards at the half. Minnesota was in control. And then Buddy Hield, who I now have his game log, so you can picture in your mind how much he's been struggling lately. Because again, he started the first 12 games of this season, and I'm not muted, am I? Okay, good. So he started the first 12 games of the season, averaging nearly 18 points a game. Points were a second scorer to complement Stephen Curry was not an issue. And then Buddy Hield, after that 12th game where he scored 18 points in a win over the Memphis Grizzlies at home, here has been his scoring output since then. 8 points with 2 threes made, 11 points with 3 points made, 12 points with 2 points made. And again, at this point, they were up to, the record was at, I believe, 12 and 3. So they were still doing good, okay? Then he drops 11 points against the Spurs, makes 3 threes. 9 points against Brooklyn. They lost that game. He made 2 threes. He had a 17-point night against OKC, a game that they lost in a very close manner. 105-101 was the final in that game. He had 17 in that night. He was 5 of 8 from deep. But then he scored 11 with 2 threes made. He scored 6 with 2 threes made. In the win over the Houston Rockets, he only put 5 points up. Only made 1 3 in that night. The Friday night, when they lost to Minnesota, he only had 4 points in that game. He did not even make a single 3 in that game. So to see him revert to the form we saw early this season is huge. When Buddy Hield is having a night like this, a lot of the problems with the Golden State Warriors are forgotten and or masked because you're getting a massive output of points that can overcome a lot of deficiencies. And that is what we saw tonight from Mr. Buddy Hield, your player of the game. His final stat sheet for the night: 27 points, 7 of 13 shooting from deep, 10 of 18 shooting from the field. He grabbed 4 rebounds, dished out 2 assists, had 3 steals in this game, and he only had 1 turnover. And the turnovers got cleaned up big time in the second half, because in the first half, the Golden State Warriors had committed 8 turnovers, yet they finished this game with 11. That means they only had 3 turnovers in the second half. So the second half, everything changed. Now, why did it change? Because Buddy Hield was tearing it up in the third quarter, because Stephen Curry was tearing it up in the third quarter. And in that third quarter, I think the best player for the Warriors, the man who outshined everyone else in that quarter, was Mr. Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga in the third quarter, okay? And all 3 players were fantastic. To me, the third quarter was where this game was decided for the most part. I know Minnesota put up a damn good fight in the fourth. This was not over until the very last seconds ticked off. But in the third quarter of this game, and when you hear these numbers, you'll understand why they should be read, because three players just lit it up in the third. Those three players, again, Kuminga played 10 minutes, 9 seconds in the third quarter. He was 4 of 5 from the field. He put up 2 3-point attempts, made one of them, had 11 points, did not have any rebounds, bizarrely, did have an assist, had 2 steals, no turnovers, also had a block, and was a +10 in net rating. So Kuminga with 11 points. Buddy Hield, excuse me, in that third quarter, 4 of 6 from the field, excuse me, 3 of 4 from deep, 11 points for Buddy Hield just in that third quarter. No turnovers in that third quarter for Buddy Hield as well. And then, of course, Stephen Curry, one of the greatest to ever do it, a man that I consider every human being who's on this planet who in any way has love and adoration for the game of basketball. We are all lucky to exist in the same moment in time as this gentleman. Stephen Curry is just such a quality human being. Never mind the fact that he's one of the greatest to ever lace it up and dribble a basketball. But again, he was the difference. I mean, on most nights, I would say Stephen Curry was your player of the game. But I want to mix it up and give Buddy Hield his due, because he was the difference maker in this one. But Stephen Curry in that third quarter, he had 9 points. He was 2 of 3 shooting from the field. He only put up 1 3-point attempt and made them. But he was getting a lot of trips to the free throw line. He had 5 free throw attempts just in that third quarter, made 4 of them. He missed, I think it was like a technical, I believe, that was called on Anthony Edwards. When Edwards shoved Jonathan Kuminga in a play that the fans wanted more punitive measures taken by the officials. But even Draymond Green, you could see stepping in there going, don't punish the man. I've done way worse than this. It was a funny moment in that third. And so Stephen Curry got a free throw attempt because of that technical, missed it. So he was 4 or 5 shooting from the charity stripe. But Steph in the third quarter, a +12 net rating, 9 points. So Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and Stephen Curry, those three together scored 31 points in the third quarter alone. And that's your ball game, folks. And the Warriors win a game that they had to win. Now folks are, again, I saw a few people say this, like world beater 1, 2, 3 in the chat. Oh, let me do this. I haven't even read your comment yet, but I know whatever you wrote is ignorant. But just to give you an opportunity, I will let you come on the show if you actually want to be a grown-up about this and communicate interpersonally instead of being a coward hiding in your mom's basement, being a keyboard warrior. World beater 1, 2, 3 writes that I was complaining about Kerr all night. Yeah, because Kerr was a moron, especially GP2. Do you want to hear GP2's stat line for the night real fast? This does matter because he's no longer stopping people defensively. Anthony Edwards was his primary defensive assignment on the night, and Anthony Edwards still scored 27 points, was 10 of 19 from the field, was 5 of 9 from deep. Keep in mind, that's with GP2 defending him for a lot of those. But everyone's going to say that the move to play GP2 27 minutes tonight was smart because of the final play of the game. Yes, the steal at the end was huge. It was not the difference maker. GP2 in this game, again, I don't want to see him shoot 3-point attempts anymore. It is just an ugly shot. He was 0 of 2 from the field. He made a bunch of layups and dunks. So you're going to see 8 points registered on the box score. But the GP2 minutes would have been far better served with either Kyle Anderson, who only played 8 minutes, 7 seconds in this game. And there was a moment, by the way, in the fourth quarter where I was deathly afraid of GP2 coming back in early, right? And I saw him at the scores table, and I'm thinking to myself, damn it, the Warriors have a run going. And then here comes GP2, who's gonna just stifle the offense because he can't do a damn thing except put up layups and putbacks. He can't hit 3-pointers anymore. His 3-point percentage on the year, I think, is like 15%. I'll look up that actual number for accuracy purposes. But the point is, the GP2 minutes are costing this team. Moody's a better option. I'm grateful Moody came back tonight. Kyle Anderson is a far better option tonight, or in any game in general. So the GP2 minutes are absurd. He's 6'2", and he was in the starting lineup against a Minnesota team that's far bigger. They won tonight, yes, but don't pretend for a second that Gary Payne II was the reason why. And just to finish what World Beater is saying here, so GP2 was critical in that fourth quarter and down the stretch. You mean like the last 2 minutes, right? That was the only point in this game where he was playing okay. Okay, well, that's, yeah, I'm sorry, man. But like this game, the Warriors should not have been trailing in the first half. That was when obviously most of the social media posts were made. And the GP2 minutes are absurd. That he is not one of the 5 best players on this team, even on a night where Andrew Wiggins is injured and not playing. And to defend that decision tonight, bravo. But I don't hear you in all the other nights when I'm criticizing those minutes. And those GP2 minutes are costing this Warriors team in terms of losses. Let's go to OMG. It's Manny. Welcome to the program, brother. Great to see you. How are you doing?
What's going on, man? It was a great game today for the most part. I pulled over to the side of the road. I'm actually driving to the airport to pick up my wife and daughter.
Oh, where are they coming from?
They're coming from Ohio. They were out there spending the weekend out there.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was kind of upset when you started the show because I actually took notes down, and everything that I took down, you actually mentioned, down to the point of Buddy Hield for me being the player of the game, and not only because of his scoring, because we know what he's capable of doing, but in the first half and throughout the game, he was having a really good defensive night against Anthony Edwards. Now, mind you, it was a team effort, but he had active hands.
Yes.
He was moving around. He was beating the picks. So Buddy Hield actually stepped up in the defense, which was definitely necessary, especially as we were missing Wiggins tonight.
Agreed. Strongly agreed.
Yes. On the comment that you were just reading about World Beater with GP2, within the first 3 minutes of the game, I was already dumbfounded as to why is GP2 still on in the game. Hopefully this does.
Oh, we just lost you. Are you still there? Okay.
I'm here. I
You're back.
just can't see my notes. But GP2 was definitely he looked lost. There was a quick turnover where I believe it was Jonathan Kuminga checked it in and passed it back to GP2 when he was distracted, and it became a turnover off the rip at the beginning of the game because he just walked and the ball was bounced behind him. Then the rest of the game, I kept noticing that, I don't know if it was Kerr or if it was what he thought when he was supposed to be slotting it, but he was trying to play somewhat of the point as he was wanting to bring the ball down. There was times where he was out of position and bumped into Jonathan Kuminga as he was trying to bring the ball down the court. He was asking Jonathan Kuminga, like, give me the ball. And Jonathan's like, yo, I'm supposed to bring it down. So, and this was the whole entire first 3 quarters of the game. Now, mind you, yes, GP2 had an amazing last couple of minutes when it came to defensive. He had active hands and everything. But the first 3 quarters, he was definitely not supposed to be there. I don't understand why Moody only played 5 minutes, because when GP2 started, again, 3 minutes in, I'm like, why is this man still inside in the game? Moody came in, great defensive hands on Anthony Edwards, and then disappeared again.
And he never played in the second half, period. He only played 5 minutes, 4 seconds in this game, and it was all in the first half. And again, people will say, well, they won the game, but look, bigger picture, like every time you treat him like this, it's another game where he's not developing. He's not an old player. Everyone talks about how Kuminga is super young. He just turned 22. Brandon Podziemski is going to turn 22 in 2 months. Moses Moody's only 22. He's also really, he should be playing as well, man. I'm with you.
He has a really large wingspan, which actually helps him with his defense, and they're not taking that into consideration. That's an advantage for him. He's young, he's agile, he's shooting, 40% from 3?
Close to that,
yet he's not getting or 38 something, but he's not getting the minutes, he's not getting the playing time.
Yeah, I agree.
Which makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no damn sense. And again, for anyone who's going to advocate for GP2, my response to that is, again, just like you said, Manny, you're by the way, you're nailing it. Congratulations. Just to add to that, yes, there were some clutch plays at the very end, but I guarantee you, if GP2 was on the bench and those minutes were going to Moody and Kyle Anderson, this game would not have been as close as it was. So
yeah.
like whatever things that happened tonight resulting in a win would have been better. Like so many of Kerr's decisions like force the Warriors to overachieve, man. It's almost like anyways, I'm sorry. I could go on forever on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Anything else?
And so
You're
I
doing
don't
great,
want.
bro. You're doing great.
I'm not reading the chat. Like I said, I'm driving anyways. But I mean, I know we won, and everyone's like cheery. Like nothing bad ever happened. Nothing bad happened in the game. No, we have to be realistic, like you said, in the long picture. These are habits that we're building, and now we're getting close to a quarter of the season in. And so once we start building these bad habits, it's going to be hard to break away from them later on, especially with the young guys that are coming up with these habits being built. But one good thing that I noticed today was with the rotations. There was right now we're pretty much running with 4 playmakers, which is Steph Curry, Podziemski, Draymond, and Kyle Anderson. And I feel like the rotations were really good today in the fact where we didn't have those very short minutes where we had 3 playmakers on the ground, which was Podziemski, Curry, and Anderson. I know that happened also because Draymond was in foul trouble early.
Yeah.
But I did like that whenever Curry came out, Podziemski came in as a substitute playmaker. And the same thing happened with Draymond and Kyle Anderson. So they're trying to get at least 2 playmakers on the court at the same time, whether it was Curry and Podziemski, Curry and Anderson, Curry and Green, Podziemski and Anderson, Podziemski and Green. And that, I think, was definitely really good. The minutes for Podziemski dropped, which allowed Kuminga to increase in his minutes. And let's be real, this kid, Kuminga, he's like a locomotive. You know, it takes him a while to get started. But once he's going and you give him the time to develop and grow, you're not stopping him.
Yes. And I just so some people in the chat were saying Moody got hurt again, and that is confirmed. I just saw reports coming down that that's a reason why Moody was unavailable in the second half. He the same knee issue that knocked him out of Friday's game after the first half, but it still doesn't excuse just 5 minutes in the first half unless he was injured then. Then I can understand that a little bit. Still, it's still 27 minutes for GP2. That to me is inexcusable. Again, they won, so my complaints are going to fall largely on deaf ears, and I get that. But I'm a big picture guy, and like long term, I just don't see how this works, dude. Like Kerr just seems to always have these crutch players of his that he just cannot help himself playing. Kerr, by the way, was quoted as saying, and we'll play some sound from Kerr when it comes down, if it comes down, that the GP2 start was to match Anthony Edwards' minutes and to be a defensive lockdown player. The downside, the problem is Edwards was still getting his own. It wasn't working until the last 2 minutes when it worked out.
Correct. The whole beginning, I mean, Edwards was getting into the paint free throw line area, and he was just elevating over GP2. At the beginning, I mean, GP2 was getting beat by the pick, and that's something that he's normally really good at, and he wasn't. He was out of place. There were so many possessions where he wasn't even jumping. Some of them he didn't even have his hands up. He was late to contest on a lot of possessions as well. And again, it wasn't all the way until the fourth quarter where his defensiveness actually came in and his active hands. But most of my notes, and I can't read them to you because, like I said, I'm in the car. But
okay.
It was all GP2. There was so many things going on. I mean, again, thankfully, a great win at the end of the night. I wasn't expecting the team to win the way they started. It wasn't until the third quarter that they actually started flipping the sketch around. But even at the fourth quarter, it was kind of like roller coastering up and down. There was moments where the momentum kept going back and forth. And then at the end, everybody stepped it up. Draymond had his 5th foul, and he stepped it up. I mean, Draymond was the one who gave everybody the night. So it wasn't even Curry.
I just have other people waiting. I got to run if that's okay, man. I don't mean.
I got you, brother.
You killed it, though. You killed it. Great segment, dude. Rock and roll. Drive safe. I'm glad your family's back home. And thanks for coming on, brother. It's a win, right? That's huge. That's what matters.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna send you a message on Instagram later on.
Deal, brother. Thank you for coming on, brother. Dude. Thank you so much, Manny. I got Naveen in the chat, Khiy in the chat. I really quickly have to call out yet another keyboard warrior, Tom Dashiell, in the chat saying GP2 is a fantastic player and that I'm full of shit, I need to correct you. He was a fantastic player defensively. In the present, no longer a fantastic defensive player. I've mentioned his stats twice. I'll bring up the defensive matchup numbers again. If you don't believe me, that opposing players he defends are shooting at will against him. And Tom, if Heath is a fantastic player, why the F is he shooting 17% from three? That's his three-point percentage. He's shooting 17.4% from beyond the arc. If that is a fantastic player, what the hell is a bad player, Tom? You're the one that's full of shit. You're the one that's look, I'm not a homer. You're not going to get that from me, okay? Like, when players play well, I will acknowledge it. When players play bad, I will call them out. If you want to be a homer, if you want to be a Warriors fan that just wants to pretend everything's great no matter what, more power to you. But you're also tuning into the wrong show, dude, because I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your skirt telling you that GP2 is still, in this present time at 32 years old, still a great defensive player. No, he had a great final moment. Most of that game, he was shit. Most of this season, he was shit. And his minutes should be going to other players. If you care about the Warriors winning, that is what you should hope for. I'm not sitting here telling you GP2 should be on the bench because I want the Warriors to lose. I actually want them to win. Him playing less means more success. And I agree with the people in the chat saying that he's a great locker room guy. He's fantastic when it comes to chemistry. He's also mature enough where if you benched him or at least kept him at the end of the bench and only played him for very situational circumstances, he's not going to care about that. He's not someone that needs developmental minutes. He's not someone that has a big ego where he needs to play. That's the beauty of GP2, where you can leave him at the end of the bench and still have that chemistry without having his mistakes cost you on the court. And Tom, have the goddamn guts to come on the show instead of being a little puss hiding behind your computer, typing these words on a screen, man. It's embarrassing on your part, dude. I posted the link. If you really want to come say that, say it to my goddamn face, or just hide in your mom's basement like you seem to love. Let's go to Naveen in the chat. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Sai. How are you?
I'm doing okay, brother. Been better, but that's life, man. Some days you have good days and bad days, and but the show has to go on, right? So I'm doing my best.
Yep.
But thanks for coming on, brother. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with what you were saying on GP2 because, like, sometimes it really frustrated me because he's the defense first guy. Like when he was coming in, at least not this game, but couple of other games, like he fouled 3-point shooter multiple times. Like it really pisses me off. He fouling, I mean, giving up the 3 free throws, right? For free. I mean, apart from that, today, at the very beginning of the first quarter, he gave, I think, a couple of touch fouls. I was like, why is he even starting? I felt the same thing. Why Moody isn't
crazy.
starting instead of him? Yeah, I mean,
And look, I take zero pleasure in criticizing him. I know full well his value to this team. I know full well how important and vital he was in 2022. Look, in 2022, I was irate at Steve Kerr because he wasn't playing GP2. I don't give homer takes, man. This is not the program where you're going to get a cheerleader. That is not who I am as a person, never mind as a broadcaster. And when GP2 is playing bad, I am going to call it out. He is not playing like he was 3 years ago. If you can't see it in terms of players blowing by him, if you can't see it in terms of him not fighting over the screens like he used to, I don't know what you're watching, but he is not the guy that used to be able to stay in front of opposing players consistently. And those timely steals like we saw tonight, that's not the norm, man. I'm glad it happened, but that's not the norm. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little bit on what you were saying, like in 2022, why it worked, I feel is like he used to come in like sprouts, like a 2-minute sprouts or like 3-minute spurts, not like a full stretch. I don't know if he, that is one thing. And apart from that, I also want to mention the players, right?
Please.
He was like what? Loon. Loon is like, man, he's come back really strong. I don't know, like again, if they will be starting TJD because sometimes this season I think he looked looked out sometimes. But Loon coming back strong, like he's doing good. And Wicks is also coming good. Like this season, he's good. And I think I don't know if you observed this when JK slipped at the end of the game almost.
Yeah, I
Like
did see that.
I felt that Curry gave him that like he want him to take it over. I felt like that because he was going in. That was about to go in. I mean, I felt that shot because Curry had like a no one was like generally when Curry has the ball, like couple of people will be coming over, but that position specifically, I felt that I wanted Curry. I mean, Curry wanted him JK to take it over. I mean, yeah, at the end of the last game, like even Draymond was mentioning, right? Okay, we want JK to have like kind of it paraphrased like they wanted JK to have more minutes and they wanted to see. I think maybe like even I felt that towards the end of this third and fourth quarters, JK was really good defensively.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Kuminga's defense tonight was exceptional, and they needed that with Wiggins out.
yeah,
So I 100%
exactly.
agree, Naveen. I need to run just because of time
Sure.
purposes. Any final thoughts before we go?
No. I think I want them to keep going like this NBA Cup game. I want them to be like I don't want them to play like what they were playing like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I wanted them to play with confidence. JK came good. I think Buddy came good. I want to carry. I want them to carry it, and they don't. I mean, I don't want them to take this cup game serious. I mean, lightly.
Agreed. I'm totally with you. Naveen, thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Where in the
Thank
world
you.
are you, by the way, before we go?
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Wow. And so why are you a Warriors fan if you're in Dallas? Just out of curiosity. I'm
No,
always curious about that.
yes. So I am from India. Basically, I'm an IT employee. So when I first started watching NBA, I started watching Warriors when they were like kind of going good, not like 15, 16 months, but from 13, 14. That's when I
Okay.
came to US from India. And
Perfect
since
timing.
then, I only follow like be it good or bad, like especially like from 18, 19, they had like really bad stretch, right? I only
Perfect
follow
timing.
Warriors. Yeah.
Perfect time to not just come to the country, but to watch the
To
Warriors. I mean,
watch.
there were your story is reflected upon. I think I'm going to guess millions of other people. It's such a fun, entertaining style of basketball, man. I don't blame you. I'm
Only
glad
for
you're
the
part of
joy,
Dub Nation, and thank you for being part of the show, man. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Have a great night, Naveen. Thank you so much. And just to finish up on the GP2 conversation, just because I want to reveal these stats to you. For any of you who thinks that he's turned into like a lockdown defender. And side note, for the folks in there who said name it like his value is with perimeter defense. The Minnesota Timberwolves, he played in the first half and they were shooting 45.2% from, or I'm sorry, for the game, they shot 45.2% from deep. That's insane. All right. Minnesota was getting their shot off like it was going out of style. Usually, if the opposing team shoots 45.2% from three, they're going to beat you. In a lot of ways, the Warriors lucked out tonight. And Gary Payton II on the season, just to give you these defensive matchup statistics, because this is the only way to properly measure an athlete's contributions is the NBA thankfully monitors this, and it's in their complex NBA stats page. So if you dig and you spend a lot of time, perusing the stats page and studying it and learning how it works, you can start to find some nuggets. And when it comes to defensive matchups are the most accurate way to measure an NBA player's performance defensively. And when Gary Payton II is playing defense, opposing players are hitting 47.6% of their shots. That is, I think, when we did this last time, and I'll do a whole show covering the entire team, but when we did this last time, that was the second worst opposing field goal percentage on the entire roster. Justify that. Like again, I'm not like what I'm telling you when it comes to Gary Payton II. I'm not just spitballing this like it's like, well, I see something different than you. The numbers confirm it. When he's defending guards, they're hitting 35.7% of their threes. All right. That is not good. It's okay. It's not good though. That means they're hitting. If your defense is resulting in opposing players hitting over 33% of their threes, you're not being effective because 33% from 3 is the equivalent of 50% from 2. So we're talking about a player who gives up nearly 50% field goals to the players that he defends. He's given up when it comes to guards, and I bring up the guard stat because center and forward 3-point percentages are going to be bad for the most part. So when he's guarding guards, they're hitting 35.7% of their threes. Guards have hit 10 of 28 threes when defended by GP2. That doesn't include tonight's game with Anthony Edwards and the rest of the Timberwolves, so that number will probably get worse. But again, 47.6%. That is the number in terms of players that GP2 defends and the shots that they're hitting against them. That's not good. That's not good, folks. So look, if all you want is cheerleader content, I'm sorry, but this is not the place for that. This is where we just try to keep it as honest and objective as possible. And GP2, I hate this. I don't like criticizing him, but I also don't like the fact that Kyle Anderson played just 8 minutes and 7 seconds in this game. He's been a difference maker for this team. And especially when he's playing his former team, the Timberwolves. I didn't get that. But again, they won, thankfully. So it's kind of annoying. I'm annoying myself by complaining. Before I get real fast to Khiy, I just want to give a shout out to Kuminga in terms of his total numbers because I haven't even broken that down yet. He had a great game. Played 36 minutes and 10 seconds. We've already heard from 2 members of the audience talking about his defense, which was exemplary tonight. He hit 7 of 16 from the field total, was 1 of 4 from 3. That the one that he did make was clutch late in the game. Had 4 trips to the free throw line. He leads the team in free throw attempts on the season, made 5 of those. So you want to see that improve. Obviously, 5 of 8 is what, 60%? That's not good. You got to make more than those. But 20 points on the night, 7 rebounds on the night. Great things happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. Also a net rating of +8 on a night where with Wiggins out, his contributions were especially important. Let's go to Khiy now, who's joining us from Khiy. Where you live, sir? I'm sorry, but is it Texas? Is it Florida?
I'm in Naples, Florida.
Okay, there we go. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. By the way, it's my birthday. I only have 3 minutes left in my birthday. I'm 3 minutes to midnight, and then my birthday is going to be done.
So repeat that. When is your birthday?
It's my birthday, December 8th, but we have 3 minutes. I'm in Florida, so it's 3 minutes to midnight, so my birthday is about to expire.
All right, I will acknowledge that in 3 minutes, okay? What's on your mind, sir? Happy early birthday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So tonight's game, we won. When the game first started, I was as confused as you were as to why GP2 was starting. But once I realized that Wiggins is out, and once I realized that Moses Moody was not 100%, he was still somewhat injured, then I kind of understood why Kerr went with GP2 playing the 3. Because what were his options? With Wiggins out, Moody injured somewhat, and he certainly does not want to play Kuminga at the 3, and I agree with that. He wants to play Kuminga at the 4 because of the performances that Kuminga has had at the 4 in recent times. So he wants to play Kuminga at the 4. Obviously, he wanted to play Draymond at the 5. So his options at the 3 with Wiggins out and Moody injured came down to either is he going to play Kyle Anderson at the 3, which Kyle Anderson.
You know what the crazy thing, Khiy, about Kyle Anderson is? You could play him at the 1. You
could absolutely. I would rather play Kyle Anderson at the 1 than play him at the 3. I think Kyle Anderson can play 1. He can play 1. He can play 4, and he can play small ball 5. But he can't play 2 and he can't play 3. He's just not fast enough to play 3, so he can't play 3. So the options of playing the 3 for me is Wiggins, Moody, or your last option being GP2. Those are the only people that can really play that 3 position.
So Khiy, real fast. So Khiy, you don't think Kuminga is fast enough to play the 3?
Of course, yeah, but he doesn't. I think Kuminga is best at playing the 4, and that's what we are realizing. His best games recently are playing the 4. So Kerr does not want to reverse to put him back at the 3, and I agree with that. Kerr wants
except for the last game, Khiy. That wasn't a great game. I mean, he played great tonight. They needed him.
Kuminga was wonderful tonight.
Right, but just 2 nights ago against the same team where he played the 4 then as well, not a great night.
But nobody played well in that game. Nobody did. That game was ugly. So I kind of understand why Kerr was left with no choice but to put GP2 in there at the 3. Now he started the game horribly. I saw there was a pass being they were coming down the court, and he wasn't even paying attention. There was a pass being sent to him, and it went outside for a turnover. But I'm gonna say this, and I've played many other sports. You could do very well at the beginning of a game, and 2 bad plays at the end of the game that cost you the game just makes your whole game look horrible.
True.
And on the contrary, you could do horribly at the beginning of a game, but 2 good plays at the end of the game that contribute to the win makes your game overall did not turn out to look that bad.
Good point.
No, but I don't want to see GP2 starting again because I hopefully Wiggins comes back.
By the way, happy birthday.
Oh, here it is. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to Susan Walker for the reminder. Bravo.
Yeah. So I don't want to see I don't want to see GP2 starting games anymore. But tonight, after winning a game where the 2 stops that were needed at the end, he was a part of both of those stops. It doesn't sound right for us to be here talking him down tonight of all nights. So don't let the people in the chat that keep hyping the GP. Don't let them pull your trigger, man. Because I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
I agree with what you're saying. He should not be starting.
And again, I will say this over and over again. I hate it. I take zero pleasure in criticizing GP2 because I know as a person he's awesome. He's like out of all the players on the Warriors you'd want to hang out with, I'd guess Steph number 1, GP2 number 2.
Exactly.
That would be my guess for what most people would say. But with that said, though, I mean, I cannot just lie and fake it and tell you that everything's fine with him out there. It is a detriment when you see the rest of the talent on this roster. If he look real fast. If he had that 3-point shot that he used to make from the corner, that used to be consistent. Like he used to hit those, man. You know what? I'm going to look real fast at GP2's career threes because I guarantee this is like
they were high 30s up until this year. He was making like 35% on that, about 35%.
So here's his numbers, okay? Like from deep. In 2021-22, when he was with the Golden State Warriors, he hit 35.8% of his threes.
About that.
That's good. The next year when he was with Portland, and he only played a few games there, but he hit 52.9%. He came back to the Warriors in the Wiseman trade, hit 44.4% of his threes, and then last year hit 36.4%. This year, 17.4%. And it doesn't even look decent.
I would take 33% from him right now.
Easily.
Just 33% is all I need. But that shot is gone, and that shot is not coming back. For GP2, the shot is gone, and it's not coming back. But on a night when we obviously needed somebody to play the 3, and he had 8.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and we won the game. And he put, I don't want us to be over here. Tonight is not the night to bash him. We don't want to see him start again. But tonight is not the night to bash him. So don't let anybody trigger you, Sai.
It's your birthday, so Khiy, I will adhere to your wishes.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about the guys who played well. Don't let anybody trigger you into talking down.
I mean, I don't even know how we got to this point. I think someone in the chat, you're right. Maybe someone in the chat did spearhead this, and I shouldn't have. I should not have chomped on the bait. Maybe that was my fault, and I apologize for that. We'll move on from the.
I'm out of here. I'm enjoying my birthday. All right.
Happy birthday, Khiy. Thank you as always, sir. Thank you. Cool. Pinoy, you're next on the list. I will get to you in just 1 second after I give some love real fast to Stephen Curry. I just read off his stat line because he had a phenomenal game. I mean, I talked about the first half where he scored 19 points. No one else was doing jack shit in that first half. Finishes the game with 30 points, 5 of 11 shooting from deep, 8 of 18 from the field. He had 11 free throw attempts. A little surprising, he missed 2 of them. He was 9 of 11. Anytime Stephen Curry misses a free throw, that's news. Had 8 assists, had 4 rebounds, did have 3 turnovers, but by his standards, I'd say that's a good night. We didn't see a lot of the dumb ones. We'll talk about Draymond Green a little bit, but usually it's Draymond and it's Steph with the turnover numbers. They each had 3 tonight. The Warriors survived that. 11 team turnovers total for the Golden State Warriors. We'll talk more statistics as well, but I just wanted to give Steph his due and acknowledge the stats. Again, 30 points for him. He was a plus 14 in terms of net rating, second on the team behind Buddy Hield, who was a plus 17. So kudos to Mr. Stephen Curry and Khiy. Great call. No more negative GP2 talk for the night. Pinoy Reformat, we see you this time. Last time it was just your voice. You're joining us, I believe, from the Philippines. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Yeah, I was thinking I shouldn't come on again. I'm kind of shy, but
it's okay. You're doing good.
It's
you did good
Filipino
last
Heritage
time.
Night.
Good. Go ahead, sir.
It was. Did you notice it was Filipino Heritage Night?
I did. I heard the broadcasters say that. So does that mean anything to you? Like
Because I'm Filipino, so I needed to represent.
Oh, good. All right. Well, there you go. Is that the only reason why you're coming on? Is just to represent?
Went in there, and that's what I wanted to say. Like GP2 showed his value today. I think let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
On a night that Wiggins was unavailable and probably Moody was compromised.
Hey, look, here's Pinoy. The only reason why I brought up his name as much as I did is because this game at the end of the first half was far worse than it should have been. Like for example, when the day comes when I do the show talking about Steve Kerr's gut and how often it's gone wrong, one of the instances I'm going to bring up is the 2018 Western Conference Finals when the Golden State Warriors played the Houston Rockets. That series went 7 games. Yeah. The Rockets had no business pushing the Warriors in that series to 7 games. That should have been over in 5, and it was almost entirely because Steve Kerr and just could not play JaVale McGee when that's all the Warriors needed to dominate that series. But McGee was just getting these spot minutes. And every time he was in there, he was owning the house. And I remember that was the first time in my life where I suddenly started.
I think they were playing Alfonso McKinney. Oh no, that was 2019. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. They were going small ball.
No. I'm wrong.
We'll talk about that later. The point is, the Warriors, they won tonight. I thought they could have dominated. I thought they could have had this
comfortable. Yeah, it's not a comfortable win. I agree.
Yeah, but they did win.
They only pulled away when Kerr stopped with the junky rotations. Sometimes he has these junky rotations. He just puts in, players just to test him. But I what I think about GP2. He's giving him a bit of leeway to see if he gets his game back.
You got some.
17. You were just saying 17% from 3. Yes. I don't think he's that bad of a shooter.
Well, it's the stats don't lie, my friend. But you're right. Career-wise, he is much better. And that shot, though, is non-existent right now. By the way, before you go, besides a couple of people in the chat also acknowledging Filipino Heritage Night, which, again, as you mentioned, was a theme at Chase Center this evening in the Warriors win. Richard Marquez in the chat, a Golden Dazer, and I know there's some donations. I'm going to get to those in just a second. Richard Marquez, though, in the chat, writing that Steve Kerr and the staff discovered that Lindy Waters can play aggressive point defense and to give this dude a chance. But Lindy Waters offensively tonight. Okay, just to read his stat line, and then I'm curious to know if folks like Richard and everyone else, and Pinoy, I'd love to get your feedback on this as the representative of the audience for this particular moment. Lindy Waters, 22 minutes, 13 seconds, 0 points. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from deep. Those threes were wide open. I remember all 3 of those 3-point attempts vividly. Did have 4 rebounds, did have 3 assists, also committed 4 fouls and had a block, but 0 points. Your thoughts?
Trigger shy.
And Richard Marquez, now that
I think I have this theory on Pods, why he shouldn't be on the court. His
period?
Bad shooting is infectious.
Ooh, that's a good point. So, look, laughter's infectious, energy's infectious, and what you're saying is shooting is infectious. So when Pods is out there laying bricks, other people are laying bricks.
Yeah, even his trigger shyness, Pod's trigger shyness, it's getting to the other shooters.
All right,
when Waters was just letting it fly, he's a shooter. He just let it fly.
Yeah, I agree with Val Sharpton in the chat saying if Lindy could get his shooting stroke back, and if Buddy Hield could be more consistent, this Warriors team is dangerous like that. And that is why they started 10-2 and 11 and 12-3, or a huge part of it is because those two were hitting their shots, and opposing defenses can't do anything about that. But when they're not hitting it, it causes a lot of problems.
Warriors
Anyway.
2-1, Kuminga heavy minutes.
And Ray 1953 adding Kai Soto. Are you a huge Kai Soto fan? I know he represents the Philippines proudly, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Pinoy,
Kai needs to get into the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Warriors need a big.
And they need a big.
Kai's
Let's hope they make a move. Let's hope they make a move, brother. You're absolutely right. Thanks for joining me, man. And your contributions are always valued.
I have one question.
Please.
Is there any other way I can send over money, because I don't have credit card?
You don't worry about it. You don't have to send money. It's okay. Thank you, though. That's very kind of you to
just
say that.
DM me if there's any.
I think
other
it's in the
way
chat. I don't know how people do it. In all honesty, I think it's in the chat. You
need a credit card or a debit card, something.
Don't worry.
I'll figure it out anyway.
Anyway, don't worry about that. Just enjoy life and just
need all the support. I think you need all the financial support.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for supporting the show, man. You showing up is enough, brother. Thank you, man. It means the world.
Where's Anna?
What's up?
Where's Anna?
I don't know. Have a great night, Pinoy. All right, brother.
Yeah,
thank you for coming on, man. Thank you. And Lucy's in the chat. I'll bring you on in just a moment. I want to mention one stat real fast in terms of by the way, Stoney saying that Cam Johnson coming to the Warriors soon. That would be amazing. I think he would be an excellent fit. Even though I don't know if he fits Steve Kerr's rotations for Team USA in the FIBA Cup last year. But I endorse that. I would love some Cam Johnson. I want to bring up as well the team tonight in terms of fast breaks, because I heard that brought up quite a bit, how the transition offense for the Warriors was virtually non-existent, at least for the first half. And I just wanted to kind of read those stats to you. At the first half, in terms of fast break points, the Warriors only had 2. Wow, that's not good. And then they finished the game, which means like whatever I read to you, we'll just subtract 2, and that'll be the second half total. They finished the game with 19 fast break points. That means they had 17 fast break points in the second half. That means transition was alive and healthy in the second half. There was just a lot more energy. And when I go to the chat and I see Tree Sin, I hope I got that correctly in terms of your handle, writing, and thank you for the donation, $2, saying great things happen when JK plays over 30 minutes. You're absolutely right. A huge reason why I constantly advocate for this kid to get minutes is because when he does, you get positive results. Like you do. It is a very consistent result. And that 30-minute mark seems to be the magic number. So Treeson, I'm 1,000% with you. Great things do happen when Jonathan Kuminga plays. There's no doubt about that. And thank you for the donation. Carson Taylor dropping $4.99, saying a solid 5 minutes for Moses Moody. I would consider trading him, or we could use another scorer, and you could use a fresh start. And also why Trayce Jackson-Davis is not playing. Again, we answered the Moody part. He got hurt. And let's hope that left knee soreness is something that does not plague him throughout the season. The Trayce Jackson-Davis thing, I didn't like that at all. Trayce Jackson-Davis for this night, and I know the last game he had an off night, but he DNP'd. Like, you would think of all the opponents where you could use Trayce Jackson-Davis' services, it would be against the team with a three-pronged tower like Gobert, Naz Reid, Julius Randle. Trayce Jackson-Davis got DNP'd. And I don't support that. I don't like that at all. I don't think he's a negative on this team. I don't think he's like Kuminga, where if you give him 30 minutes, you're going to get, there's a virtual guarantee that you're going to get positive production. But he is similar to the other 3 youngsters on this squad that we talk about regularly. Podziemski, who we'll talk about as well in just a moment. Moody and Kuminga. I mean, he's got to play too. If you ever want him to get better, he's got to play. And if the kid is going to get DNP like this and end up riding the bench, when you're talking about trades, a center, I think, should be high in the agenda. That's where Vucevic with the Chicago Bulls just sounds damn nice as an addition. I could see him coming to the Warriors, starting for the Warriors, and just completely shifting this thing into a whole new gear. But Anyways, I didn't like that. And Ray 1953 saying that Trace Jackson Davis doesn't have a 3-point shot. But again, most centers don't. And I understand that he doesn't space the floor, but Kevon Looney doesn't space the floor. And I know he's more versatile offensively, but he's not as good defensively as Trace Jackson Davis is. Yet Kerr seems to have no issue giving Looney minutes. Point being, you don't need to be a 3-point shooter to make your mark in this game. And the DNP was I don't support that. And then B40 in the chat. Lucy, I'm going to come to you next. I promise. B40 in the chat saying send Trace Jackson Davis down to Santa Cruz. Bring up Quentin Post. And that's a player we're going to talk about tomorrow. Sophia Jones is going to join me. We're going to talk about that Valkyries expansion draft. We're talking a lot of Valkyries tomorrow for the second half of the show. But we're also going to talk about Quentin Post because at a certain point, his name should be mentioned as a possible piece to this puzzle. We haven't seen him once in the NBA. He is putting up good numbers in the G League. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, for a discussion about that. We'll cover Quentin Post among many things. Fang U SFU, right? Fang U SFU, yes. Writing that Trace Jackson Davis is better than Quentin Post. Boz in the chat writing that his defense has not been good lately. He's been slow to react. And again, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with that, especially last game. But this is also the downside to treating a young player with inconsistent minutes and inconsistent rotations. Veterans can handle that stuff way better than a young player like Trace Jackson Davis. So I just don't know how he's going to get better with this treatment. Like you're right. He has been struggling a little bit lately, but if benching him in Kerr's mind is going to magically fix his game, that's not going to happen either. So maybe Santa Cruz is where he should go. Let's go to Lucy in the chat. Welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Hi, Cyrus. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Been better, but it's life. How are you? What's on your mind, Lucy? Floor is yours.
So let me just start off with the TJD Looney thing. So yes, last game most of them didn't have like a good game. I want to say because they had like a back-to-back as well. Even Kuminga, I feel like they were tired from how.
I like the way you said that, Lucy. Can you say that again? Kuminga. I don't know why I like that. That's endearing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm gonna excuse them for that. However, another thing I think, or another reason why I think Looney got to play a lot this time was, I think the entire team was having this like offensive slump, and so they needed that extra offense. And I felt like Looney had, a little bit more offense than TJD. Honestly, I actually really appreciate how he's trying to be more versatile, especially this season. That's really good. So yeah, that's just my bit on TJD and Looney. And with Kuminga, one of my favorite players. I love it when he plays. I'm with you on that.
And Lucy, just to add to that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but real fast. I'm glad you said that because, like Rick Barry and I do this list. We call it the price of admission, where we rank players in terms of like just the entertainment value watching them, right? And Stephen Curry is almost always going to be at or near the top of the list. Players like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Michael Jordan in my teens and 20s was that guy clearly. But the point is, Jonathan Kuminga, I love watching him play. I think he's super fun to watch. He's exciting to watch. And so on top of the production he gives you, it's entertaining as all hell, right? At least I think so.
Very entertaining. I agree 100%. I'm from Africa, and I love when I see the Africans do well in the NBA. So he's been one kid that I was watching when he was in Ignite all the way through his draft, and I'm excited when I see him play all the time. In the first half of this game, I feel like he was doubting himself a little bit when he had to go through like Rudy Gobert. So I think that was why he had a little bit of a lesser production, I would say. But in the second half, like he was more assertive, he was more like engaged, his defense was on, and he was going right at it. I don't know if he got any talk at the bench before the second half, but I loved his production. The second half, he was amazing, especially his defense. Kerry was amazing the entire night, of course. GP2 should not take any threes, at least not when we're losing.
At all. It's just ugly. Like they're not even close. No. Like they ricochet off the back of the rim so hard that these like loose rebounds are being caught like 30 feet away. It's just the whole thing is ugly. I don't know what happened there either, but anyway, sorry to go ahead.
I miss GP2, from 2-3 years ago. But hopefully we get him. I loved how well he played the last 2 minutes defensively, how his hands were active, and but then again, I feel like Ant also got tired like at the end as well, so he came out of rhythm a little bit. So yeah, those were just a few observations. And please, those wide open threes, Lindy Waters, I'm praying we get back to getting those wide open threes, because man, we need the offense. I feel so bad when it's only from Steph. I feel like we need help. And we have all these really good, amazing players this season, and I really wish they'll start producing back again.
Yeah, the first half was ugly. Like Stephen Curry had 19 points in the first half. And then just to give you some perspective, the next leading scorer at the end of the first half for the Warriors was Buddy Hield with 8. And Kuminga had 6, and that's about it. Draymond had 4. What did you think about Draymond tonight? Let's talk about him real fast, just because we haven't brought him up.
I was shocked that thumbs up. First
Go
of
ahead,
all,
sorry.
I was shocked that the thumbs up when unshoved Kuminga a little bit. I want but I guess he likes Ant, so we'll take that.
He loves him. I mean, I don't know where Kuminga would be without Draymond's support. Draymond tonight played 30 minutes. He only had 1 3-point attempt, which is fine. Like tonight, you needed his defense. You needed all the other intangibles, and not the 3-point shot that incredibly has become a thing for him now. But I thought Draymond played great basketball, all things considered. By his standards, the turnovers were lower than what we've been seeing lately. He had 3. 7 assists, 6 rebounds. He did not choke out Rudy Gobert. So a win all in all for Draymond Green. What's your reaction to Draymond's 6 points tonight?
I loved how Draymond played. I think, after the first 3-point shot attempt that didn't go in, he decided not to, because maybe because the offense wasn't going too good. Also, he didn't want to waste any more chances taking 3-point shots, but he plays great all the time, especially defensively. I really appreciated his defense today. I felt like he was getting very frustrated with his team, like some of the players when they weren't switching fast enough and allowing the corner threes to go from the Minnesota players. And also with the fouls, he couldn't be as aggressive as he wanted to be, I think, towards the end of the third and the fourth. And he wanted people to he expected people to be as quick, quick thinking as him defensively. So I saw when he was getting frustrated with those things, how he would expect someone to jump in and defend, and they were just a little bit too slow and stuff like that. But yeah, Draymond is always good. His aggression just spreads through the team. I like how he's always in Kuminga and Wiggins's ears. I feel like that gives them a lot and gives them a lot of confidence, which they need, the two especially. So yeah, Draymond is always great, guys.
I'm 1,000% with you on all of that. Where in Africa are you from, and where in the US are you now?
I'm from Ghana, West Africa. And
beautiful country, right? I've heard great things about it.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. You should visit.
I should. You're right. You're right.
And I live in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, I live in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, but I've been watching the NBA since I was a kid. My first experience with the NBA was Warriors. I love their style of play, and I've watched them for like going on 12, 15 years now. So yeah, similar story.
Well, Lucy, welcome to the program. You're obviously welcome, like everyone else, to join anytime. And have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good night. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, you too, Lucy. And why don't we skip from Lucy to Buddy Hield? This is courtesy of 95.7 The Game, the flagship radio station of the Golden State Warriors, providing this soundbite. And unfortunately, again, when I play clips from them, you got to turn up the volume on your screen, or wherever you're listening to this program. Turn the volume up just for this moment, because they, for whatever reason, even though they're the flagship station of the Warriors, you would think they'd be able to hook up their microphones and connect it to whatever they're using to publish these things on social media, but they're not at this point. So we got the low audio quality, and we got to take what we can get. So here is Buddy Hield with the shady audio quality, courtesy of 95.7 The Game, talking about shooters shoot. That's the theme. Here's Buddy.
Yeah, but lose confidence. I'm a shooter. I work too hard. So it comes to making and missing, sometimes the energy of the game, the flow of the game that doesn't helps you, allow you to make shots. And as basketball players, we think about overthinking too much when it's just simple. And Coach Steve and all the coaching staff back there just say, make it simple. Make it simple, make it simple play. We feel like we gotta make a home run play all the time. And like me, a shooter, I'm always aggressive. Feel like I gotta make this splash like 2, 3 in a row, and just gotta stay humble. Hit singles, and don't try to hit home runs. And that helps me come.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut that off early, but I think you got the gist. Buddy Hield, he was talking really fast there. Anyway, so Buddy Hield one more time. At least for tonight, the Golden Days player of the game, breaking out of what I would call a slump by his standards. 27 points in this game, was 7 of 13 from the field. And like I said, we brought up his game log from this season. He was averaging nearly 18 points a game the first 12 games of the year. And then he was going through it. I mean, there were nights where he was putting up 6 points, 8 points. The single-digit scoring nights from Buddy Hield are going to make life much more difficult for the Warriors than it should be. They rely on him for shooting. When he's hitting it, good things happen. When he's laying bricks, it's a whole other story. Wait, 49ers minded. You got to enlighten me on this because you said you caught a bad word in Farsi. Where was that? I missed that. I didn't say anything in Farsi. That's why I'm curious to know what you heard. 49ers minded. Side note, besides having a fantastic 49ers show, I just learned from a post you did the other day on social media that you were once a stand-up comedian. So I'd love to hear your act at some point. Oh, I see. Okay, so 49ers minded, you're saying somewhere else in the chat. Let's talk about Brandon Podziemski, because he has been a lightning rod in terms of a polarizing figure on this Warriors team. And the critique is multifold. It ranges from his shot being inconsistent to maybe having a tinge of arrogance, given how inexperienced he is, talking about Steph and Dre looking up to him. That was a crazy quote, no doubt about that. So a lot of people are upset that, he gets preferential treatment, from Steve Kerr, gets minutes regardless of his performance. And tonight we saw him not start, which I thought was a huge positive. So I guess if the question is, do you start GP2 or Pods? God damn, that would be a tough one. Is that why so many people were kind of happy with GP2, is because Pods did not start? Is that what I've been missing this whole night? Because I don't like Pods starting. I think I've made that clear, and I'll say it again in case I've never been clear about that. Brandon Podziemski, at least at this stage of his career, seems to be perfectly fine as a backup point guard, like coming in to lead the second unit. Again, the shooting is inconsistent. The rebounding is obviously awesome. You love the hustle. You love the fact that he's big and strong enough to muscle up with a lot of bigger players out there. Lateral quickness is questionable defensively, but nonetheless, he's become a little polarizing. And as Simon 2 writes, yes, that's one of the main reasons why my GP2 opinions tonight have not been very popular. And again, look, it's nothing against GP2. Like I love him personally. It's just, and I didn't know Moses Moody was injured in the second half either. I came into the show tonight thinking from the start that Moody just got the shaft for GP2, but knowing he's hurt, those minutes become more palatable. With that said, Podziemski, 20 minutes tonight, had 2 points. That's bad. That is rough. Like a 2-point night is not a good look. I don't care how you spin that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Moody. Okay, Brandon Podziemski. Oh, no, a whole lot better. He had 6 points. Still not a good look. But at least the shooting-wise, it was more efficient. He only had 5 field goal attempts. 4 of those 5 were 3-point attempts, and he made 50% of his threes. So at least he was efficient offensively. 6 points in 20 minutes and 8 seconds. Again, you're not writing home to mom bragging about that. 3 rebounds for Pods, 3 assists for Pods. Did not have any turnovers. Look, I didn't mind this version of him. If Podziemski's coming off the bench, playing 20 minutes, not bricking shots left and right, I can live with it. I don't know about you folks out there, but I can live with it. Now, I also want to real fast mention, because I saw FIFAM Dubs fan in the chat, right? That you want Kevin Dana on the program. We haven't seen him lately. Kevin Dana is a dear friend of mine. the biggest reason why you haven't seen him on the show lately, there's two big reasons. One, from the time you first started seeing him join me back in my days with the other program to now, he was nowhere near as busy as he is. Like his primary job back then was Santa Cruz Warriors play-by-play broadcaster and maybe some other gigs here and there. Now, if you follow him on Instagram, every day he's at a different location broadcasting, whether it's Santa Cruz Warriors, whether it's like Cal football, whether it's some college athletic networks games that he's covering, whether it's like a volleyball game. The point is, I feel like every single day of his life he's working. So he's gone from being someone that had a lot of time in his hands, who found fun joining my program to talk Warriors, to now, if I reach out to him asking him to come on the show, it's like not this month, maybe next month. So that's problem number one. His availability has basically gone nil. And then two, it's not easy for him to come on this show and be forthright because his employer is the Golden State Warriors, and he has a hard time criticizing the team, which you have to do if you want to be credible and, have an opinion that's actually valued. So the point is, he brings a lot to the table when we're talking about the Santa Cruz Warriors, but otherwise he can't be super honest about the Warriors in general, or at least is a little afraid to. And he's insanely busy, so he doesn't come on the program anymore. But it doesn't mean our relationship's frayed or anything like that. It just means, there isn't much point to do it, and he doesn't have time to do it. With that said, I'm going to check in with him and at least relay his opinion on Quentin Post and Reese Beekman and how they're doing for Santa Cruz during tomorrow's show with Sophia Jones. But I love Kevin Dana and do wish he had the time to come on the show more. But that's how it goes. Chris Wood in the chat dropping some New Zealand currency. What is $5 in New Zealand money? Is that like 25 cents? I have no idea. But regardless, I appreciate it. And Chris Wood in the chat writes, is there a website that tracks how many pick and roll versus motion plays Golden State Warriors run per game? I feel this game had heavy pick and rolls versus the previous game. That is a great question. The answer to that is I don't think you can find that with the NBA stats page. There's another, I forgot the name of it. There's another company that like ESPN relies on and a lot of people rely on, but they also charge an exorbitant amount of money to subscribe to that data and use it. And if you go to ESPN, they list the name of that company oftentimes in their stories. But the point is, they might. There is one subscription service that charges a lot of money that I do not subscribe to, and they might provide that information. I don't think NBA Stats does. If they do, I'll do some research tonight. This is what I can promise you. I'll do research tonight, see if that stat exists. Maybe someone in the chat actually has that answer as well, and I will present that answer to you tomorrow. Because the more I think about it, someone has to be keeping track of that. But off the top of my head, I'm really sorry to tell you that I don't have an answer. Simon 2, what are you referencing to in terms of inside source? Please elaborate on that. I'm sorry. Ken Mama writing, remember the unnecessary 3-pointer that Podziemski took, which sucked out all the momentum and led to a T-Wolves run. I do remember that. And again, I'm not sitting here defending him hardcore. All right. Podziemski, again, I see a value in him as a backup point guard. I don't think he's a bad player. Like, I don't think he's bad. I do think his shot has some issues right now that he's got to work through. But I do think him as a starter is way too much. Like, that doesn't help the Warriors. Him coming off the bench, 20 minutes max. I can live with it. I don't know about you folks, but I can handle it. Damian LaRoche, greetings. How are you doing tonight? Another Golden Dazer in the house. And Chris Wood, again, you're very welcome. Thank you for the donation. And like I said, if I find that information, I will present it on tomorrow's show with Sophia Jones. 3 p.m. Pacific time is when we'll be on. And J-Dub saying Podziemski is a buzzkill. AD saying that Podziemski's minutes always turn into the other team going on a run. Ray 1953 saying Podziemski needs to go to the G League. You are heard. You are heard. Raymond M adding that Podziemski's shot does not even look fixable. I hope you're not correct on that. We shall see. Damien LaRoche adding, and Damien, side note, by the way, just while I have your attention, and this goes for everyone, I cannot publish your paid comments if you're using any form of like hate speech or derogatory speech. And there was one post I just thought of it like a few days ago that you did where you had an R word in there I couldn't display publicly, so I do apologize for that, but I just can't do it. Just in case you were wondering why I did not highlight your post from last week. Ken Mamba asking me how to, me personally, how would I handle the rotations? All right. You want my thoughts on this? You're all good, Damien. Here's what I would do. If I was in Steve Kerr's shoes and I had control over this roster and I had the opportunity to make my own lineups, I would go with my starting lineup. Excuse me. I'd go with Stephen Curry, obviously. The 2-guard position's tricky. I personally like Buddy Hield coming off the bench. I like him in the 6-man role. He was thriving in that early in the season. I know he started tonight, but I don't think that means you start him every game. I still fervently, with the utmost conviction, maintain that if you want to optimize this team, Andrew Wiggins should be your 2. And he still spaces the floor. He's an awesome 3-point shooter. There's a reason why Steve Kerr wants him to put up a minimum of 6 3-point attempts per game. Andrew Wiggins on the season is shooting 42.7% from 3. So there is no harm or foul in playing him at the 2. You're putting less wear and tear on his body. Maybe like the ankle injury that keeps affecting him. Maybe that's not as serious if he doesn't have to bang around inside with guys that outweigh him by 50 plus pounds. I like Wiggins as a 2. So I would go Steph, Wiggins, Kuminga, Draymond, and then you trade and Vucevic as your starting center. If you don't make a trade with this current roster, I prefer Trayce Jackson-Davis as your starting center just because I think his defense is more effective against other bigs than Kevon Looney. I also don't mind Kevon Looney being a backup center. But again, to me, like if you have a starting 5 that's Steph, Wiggins, Kuminga, Dre, and you add Vucevic, you're winning a championship. Plain and simple. Like I'm giving you a guarantee. If that's your starting 5, the Warriors will win a championship this year. Stephen Curry will officially be on Mount Rushmore. That's simple. But because B40, you the man. I love all of you. Thank you. And then your bench, and if you roll that lineup, then you have a bench where Podziemski's your natural point guard, Moody's your natural backup 2. Moody's your backup 3. Buddy Hield is your backup 2. Kyle Anderson's getting a real run as a backup. So that's how I would roll. I hope I answered that question. Anything else before we start wrapping it up? J Dub is asking, what would the Warriors have to give up to get Vucevic? And this is why I advocate for this. Nothing. All you'd have to do primarily, besides maybe throwing 1 or 2 second-round picks just to make it palatable for Chicago, so that they feel like they're getting something out of this. But DeAnthony Melton's expiring, and GP2's contract should be enough. In fact, I'll bust out the trade machine during this live show and see what it would take to pull off Vucevic, because I've not actually done this exercise on my own, and we're late enough in the show where if you're still watching or listening, you are a true hardcore Golden Dazer, and you will not mind me going through this exercise on a live show. So it's a trade between the Warriors. And look, I know people love the Fanspo trade machine. I'm going to use ESPN's right now just because it's a little easier. I'll share my screen with all of you while I'm doing this. So at least the YouTube viewers are entertained in the process. All right. So we're on the ESPN trade machine. Team number 1 is the Golden State Warriors. Team number 2 is the Chicago Bulls. I want Nikola Vucevic. Oh, he only makes $20 million a year. For some reason, I thought he had a bigger deal. All you'd have to do is just Melton, GP2, try this trade. Boom, shakalaka, and you have your deal. So for some reason, I thought Vooch was getting even more. $20 million a year, that's all you have to do. And just like that, you have a championship team. B slots, thank you, brother. And I want to apologize again. This was I'm not bringing my A game tonight. I will fully admit that. So for anybody who just wasn't happy tonight, or think I was too extreme with the GP2 stuff, I apologize. Damien LaRoche bringing up the fact that I haven't played strip club music in a while. Why don't we do that to wrap up the show with a scoreboard? Here we go. So let me get the strip club music. I have an iPhone, I think 14, and the old GTAs, they're like $3, $4. I just finished playing Grand Theft Auto 3. First time I played that game in over 20 years. I'm currently playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and then Grand Theft Auto Vice City is next on the list. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 is not available for mobile devices yet, but if you're like me and you played those games decades ago, it's brand new again, and they've modified it so a lot of the stuff is relevant on your mobile device. I bring all that up because of the strip club music. It always makes me think of Grand Theft Auto. All right, let's go around the NBA and see what else happened in the league, and then we will wrap it up tonight with the standings to see where the Warriors are currently. Tomorrow's show, again, chances are if you're watching the recording of this or listening on the podcast, you're tuning in on Monday. My sympathies to you. I cannot believe Monday is back again. Sophia Jones, one more time, will join us on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. But in the meantime, let's go around the scoreboard. The LA Lakers stopped their own slide, their own slump. And again, when you play the Portland Trailblazers, it'll help with that process. So the fact that they only beat Portland by 9 at home would make me a little concerned if you're a Lakers fan. They beat Portland 107-98, the final in LA at Staples or Crypto or whatever they're calling the place now. The Lakers improved to 13-11. The Trailblazers dropped to 8-16. D'Angelo Russell, the top performer for the Lakers, 28 points, 14 assists. DeAndre Ayton, remember that guy, 14 points, 19 rebounds for the Trailblazers in the loss. And look, I will give you a piece of advice, Laker Nation. I'm speaking to you. If any Laker fans are watching this at this point, I'll give you some advice because I know the fans of that team are annoyed, and they're looking at a team that actually has started worse under JJ Redick than they did under Darvin Ham a year ago. Even though I listed D'Angelo Russell as the top performer, that guy cannot be on your team if you want to take yourself seriously. You got to trade that contract. I do not care how good he is offensively. He's also that bad defensively. Trade his ass yesterday. I don't care if you're getting Zach LaVine back. Get rid of that toxic asset on your team. You're welcome, Rob Pelinka. Moving along, Sacramento Kings with a blowout victory tonight, 141-97 over the Utah Jazz. Herder, who I thought would be traded by now, had 26 points, a top performer for the Kings. The Utah Jazz were led by, was it Keontae George? Is that how you say his name? 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists for him. Yeah, Keontae. Okay. And the Kings, again, that's a 44-point victory. They improved to 12-13 on the year. The Houston Rockets, 117-106 winners over the Clippers. That is the next opponent for the Golden State Warriors. NBA Cup quarterfinal play. That's going to be Wednesday in Houston. We don't know what the status will be for Andrew Wiggins as of right now, but his presence will be vitally important and pivotal for that game. But the Rockets, again, 117-106 winners. Amen Thompson, 22 points, 8 rebounds to the win for Houston. Zubac, 21 points, 12 rebounds in the loss for the Clippers. Houston improves to 16-8. The Clippers dropped to 14-11. The San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama was back after missing some games due to a knee contusion. 121-116 winners over the New Orleans Pelicans. The Spurs improved to 12-12. The Pelicans dropped to 6-20. Trey Murphy the third for the Pelicans at 25.6 rebounds. Victor Wembanyama in his first game back, 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks for the 7-foot, 11-inch center. Not really 7 feet, 11 inches. Just testing you out if you're still listening. Side note, I don't know if you folks have seen this kid. There's some guy in college who's redshirting this year, who's 7'9". He's redshirting, so he's not even playing. But you see, there's videos of him practicing in warm-ups before games, and like he doesn't have to jump to dunk. The whole thing is ridiculous. If someone has his name in the chat, please bring it up. But 7 feet 9 inches. There is a kid in college who's actually that tall, and he's being redshirted this year, as weird as that sounds. Moving along, we're almost done with the scoreboard. The Memphis Grizzlies pounding the Washington Wizards 140-112. Salty Aldama, 19.7 rebounds, 3 blocks for the Grizzlies in the win. The Wizards dropped to 3-19. Marvin Bagley, the third, 20.7 rebounds, 3 blocks in the loss there. I see a lot of people in social media, at least, in various accounts, expressing a desire for Jordan Poole to come back. I mean, the Wizards are the worst team in the NBA. Just keep that in mind. Phoenix Suns lost tonight to the Orlando Magic, 115-110. Orlando improves to 17-9. The Suns drop to 12-11. Bidats, a player who I would love on the Warriors, 21 points, 16 rebounds for the Magic in the win. Devin Booker, 25.7 assists, 4 steals in the loss for the Phoenix Suns. Those are your top performers, courtesy of ESPN. The Miami Heat beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, just the 4th loss of the season for them, 122-113 the final. Miami improves to 12-10. Cleveland drops to 21-4. What a start for them. Tyler Hero statistically having a monster season this year. He dropped 34 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists in the win for the Heat. Darius Garland, 23 points in the loss. So the Heat, every time people want to write them off, they always say not so fast. That's Pat Riley for you. The Denver Nuggets, 141-111 winners over the Atlanta Hawks. Nikola Jokic, what a stat line for him. 48 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. Dyson Daniels in the loss, 18 points, 6 assists, 5 steals. The Nuggets improved to 12-10. The Nuggets dropped to 13. I'm sorry. The Nuggets improved to 12-10. The Hawks dropped to 13-12. Busy night tonight in the association. Got 3 more games for you. The Charlotte Hornets, 113-109 winners over the Indiana Pacers. Brandon Miller, 26.6 rebounds in the win. TJ McConnell, 30 points, 6 assists in the loss for the Pacers. The Hornets improved to 7-17. The Pacers dropped to 10-15. 2 more. It's a really busy day of basketball, especially when you consider the NFL had a full slate as well. The Milwaukee Bucks defeating the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn, 118-113. The Bucks improving to 12-11. The Nets dropping to 10-14. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is starting to deliver an MVP caliber season, 34 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the win. Dennis Schroeder, 34 points, 11 assists in the loss. So the Bucks have salvaged their season. Again, when you're in the Eastern Conference, it's not that difficult to do. And speaking of teams salvaging their season, the Philadelphia 76ers, just like that, are now 7-15, back in the mix. 108-100 winners over the Chicago Bulls. Tyrese Maxey, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 14 assists in the win. Zach LaVine, 30 points in the loss. That's your scoreboard for you. That's the night for you. Wrapping up Golden Days. Damian LaRouche adding that the NBA has been brutal to bet on this week. My condolences to you, sir. It is never fun to go through a betting slide like that. So there you go. Yes. Simon 2. The 7'9" guy, Olivier Roux. I think that's who we're talking about here. And for the excuse me, for the YouTube audience, that was very unprofessional for me, trying to doing a little belch during the broadcast. So Olivia Rue, let me see if I can show you a picture real fast. He's a Canadian basketball player. He's 18 years old. He turns 19 on February 2nd. He stands 7 feet 9 inches. And here's his Instagram page. I'll show you, to give you some idea of what this guy looks like. 7'9". I mean, Wemby is 7'4". So add 5 inches to that. It's insane. So here's a picture of this guy. Olivier Roux. I want to see if there's any pictures where he's standing next to other people. Here we go. Here's one. I guess that's a clip of him playing. I don't like that one that much. Oh, here we go. So this is him standing next to someone who's 6'10". Oh, that's Jamal Murray. Okay, so there you go. I think this is the perfect picture right here. So that is an idea of how tall he is. That is Olivier Roux standing next to Jamal Murray. Although Jamal Murray is not 6'10", but anyways, he's a big boy. So 6'9". There you go. Thank you, everyone. Warriors win, and the standings following that win. The Warriors, and again, they don't have a game again until Wednesday, so it's going to be a nice break for them. Then they're going to be in Houston for the NBA Cup quarterfinal. And when we look at the standings, the Golden State Warriors, with the win, are 5th in the Western Conference. The OKC Thunder, 18-5, are first. The Memphis Grizzlies are second at 17-8. The Houston Rockets and Dallas Mavericks, a half game behind the Grizzlies, tied for third. They're both 16-8. And then the Golden State Warriors are a game and a half behind Houston and Dallas at 14-9. So 5th place is where they currently stand. The LA Clippers are 6th, 2 games behind the Warriors. So there you go. Those are your standings. Thank you, everyone. Again, we'll be back at this soon. And yeah, tomorrow 3 p.m. Monday. Thank you to everyone. Any final? Make sure that any other donations that I need to address. No, we're good. We're out of here. Let's fade that music out. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you as always. 3 p.m. Monday. Sophia Jones. We're talking Warriors, Valkyries, and so much more. Until then, bye-bye.